Hey everyone, Gill Gross here. Post-match, Alexander Zverev versus Brandon Nakashima, 2020 US Open second round. If you don't want spoilers, click off the video in 3, 2, 1. All right, it was Alexander Zverev coming through 7-5, 6-7, 6-3, 6-1. The German on to the third round, and this was a match I had circled. I was looking forward to it. I thought that the young American Nakashima had a good chance to test Zverev off the bat. First of all, there's a good amount of hype around Nakashima. He went to college 1 year, Virginia Cavalier, was ACC Freshman of the Year, so he was impressive in the college ranks. He's turned pro, and he's been very good on the challenger circuit. And then he actually picked up steam. He was one of the players who really picked up steam in the exhibition when the actual tour was put on pause. Nakashima was playing a lot of the domestic events in the United States and beating the top Americans and playing really, really well. I was also interested because I know that Nakashima is a steady and consistent player from what I had seen coming into this match. I also knew that his strength is the backhand. So I knew that this was a player who could probably go toe-to-toe with Zverev strength to strength in the cross-court backhand pattern, which is something that most players step on the court against Zverev and they can't really trade backhands with Zverev or they're in trouble. Thought Nakashima might be able to do that. He wasn't going to miss, so Zverev would have to play well to win the match. Play well, he did. He played very, very well. I'll get into the match. I'll get more into Zverev. But first, because this is the first time I've ever talked about Nakashima, I just want to give you a quick evaluation of his skills. Just a quick strengths and weaknesses breakdown. In my opinion, his strengths is one, tremendous poise. This was the biggest match of his life. You wouldn't be able to tell. He was not overly excited. Not only did you see that in his body language was better than Zverev's actually, but that's not always so hard. Still something that's bothers me a little bit about Zverev is how negative he gets, how easily he becomes negative. That's neither here nor there, okay? But Nakashima, a bit of a stoic character, but poised, focused, and he was really playing within himself, which is really difficult to do when you're in the biggest match of your life. He didn't get overly excited. He's a good athlete. He's a good mover. Slides a bit on the hard court, covers the court pretty well. Now, a lot of people like to compare his style, his game to Djokovic. He's no Djokovic in terms of his court coverage. He's not going to win matches with his court coverage, but 5'11", he's got the requisite quickness around the court. He's a good athlete, a solid, pro athlete. Consistent, doesn't miss that much, isn't going to give you a lot of easy errors. Awesome backhand. And Zverev made a funny remark after the match in the media. He said, yeah, he's got a really great backhand, especially for an American. Come on now. That's like saying, oh yeah, you're really skinny for an American. I mean, woo. It's funny. It's true. The Americans tend to not have good backhands, which is really weird. It's the kind of thing that it's hard to explain with logic how a nation of people would develop a bunch of tennis players who don't hit good backhands. Willing to come forward. That was huge in this match. I'll get into that more, but he's a very willing volleyer. His coach, by the way, Pat Cash. All right. Pat Cash had decent volleys, and Nakashima's got great technique on the volleys. He's not the kind of player who has amazing net coverage. He's 5'11", as I said, but when he's there for the volley, excellent. He looked rock solid in this match. Lastly, the serve. The serve, there's kind of good news and bad news on the Nakashima serve. The good news is, first of all, the technique looks great. I love the technique. The kick serve is excellent. Really good kick serve. He's got a good slice serve, which is very effective on the deuce court. What he doesn't do well is he doesn't flatten the serve out, the first serve, so it's not much of a weapon. And by the ATP's standards, it's an underpowered serve. And we've seen how good you have to be from the baseline in order to overcome that on tour. We've seen, how good Diego Schwartzman, David Goffin, how good those Fabio Fognini, how good these players need to be to make up for it if you have an underpowered first serve. You have to be incredible. Not saying Nakashima can't get to that level. I think he can, but I think he has the potential to hit bigger first serves, and I think that would help him. In this match, when it came to the first serve, it was like a big leaguer against the minor leaguer. That's what it seemed like on the first serve. And I know it's a high bar when we're talking about Zverev, but that really cost Nakashima in this match, is that he could not match Zverev in the free points category, not even close. All right, so let's get to the match now. It started off really, really high quality. I was very impressed with both players. I thought if either player didn't come out of the gate strong, they would have been down. But they were pretty much nose and nose, holding serve early on. Zverev was hitting his forehand really well. And those are the two things you watch for with Zverev, or the two things you watch for. The forehand, is he punishing short balls? Is he hitting his forehand too loopy, too short? Is he getting too passive? Or is he actually going after that shot and taking control with that shot? And then when things are really bad, he can spray that shot. So is he hitting that shot into the court? The forehand was really on. That was clear right away. Now, he was double faulting. And early in the match, you kind of got that feeling, what's going to happen here? Nakashima's holding serve. He's playing really well. What's going to happen when Zverev has a game where he double faults 2 or 3 times? Well, Zverev actually had that game, but his first serve was so big and his forehand was so good that he was still able to hold serve. So it was 2-3. Zverev served in the first set. He double faulted twice in that game, but got 2 to 3 free points and was able to hold anyway. The version of Zverev that I was seeing in that first set immediately reminded me of the Zverev we saw in Australia. This was a Zverev that wasn't hitting his second serve well, but it just didn't matter because he was around 75% first serve, and he was hitting his first serve 130 to 140 miles per hour. And he was, hitting spots well enough. Margin, I mean, he did paint some lines in there, but the point is his first serve was pretty overwhelming. So he just didn't need to rely on his second serve. And he was losing most of his second serve points, and he lost most of his second serve points throughout this match. It just didn't matter because he was serving such an unbelievable percentage in the first set. When it got to the business end of this first set, Nakashima just blinked. Plain and simple. 5-all, he's up 40 love and hits 4 unforced errors and a double fault to lose serve at 5-all. It was a really sudden collapse by Nakashima. And then Zverev serving out the first set, hits 4 unreturned serves and a double fault. So he didn't have to work hard. Nakashima wasn't getting serves in play. And in the second set, more of the same. Zverev served 82% first serves in the second set. Again, he was 75% first serves in the match, and he was winning 84%. So 81 for 97 on the first serve for Zverev. On the second serve, he won 34%. 11 for 32 on the second serve. Did he get broken? No. That's how good he was on the first. Didn't get broken. Sorry, it's not... Yeah. He didn't get broken. Sorry, I thought for a second I might have erred there, but yeah, Nakashima had 5 break points, didn't convert any. So set 2 goes to a tiebreak, and let me take a moment to talk about why Nakashima was holding serve and what Nakashima was doing to make this competitive with Zverev. Because to this point, it was a really tight match, and Nakashima overall was playing really, really good ball. But I think the main thing that he was doing a great job of was attacking the net, especially on his serve. The Nakashima forehand is a little bit underpowered. So he made up for that brilliantly by making sure to finish points at the net. When Zverev took a defensive posture, as good a mover as Zverev is, combined with Nakashima's power deficit on the forehand, it was really impossible for Nakashima to really hit it by Zverev. But Brandon was going to the net and hitting gorgeous volleys. And I have to say, the Zverev passing shot, which at times is excellent, it just wasn't really keyed in through 2 sets in this match. He wasn't making passes. Nakashima was getting volleys, was getting kind of easy volleys. Nakashima at the net in set 2, 16 for 19. Set 1, 12 for 14. He realized that he needed to go there even more in set 2 because it was working so well. And again, the backhand was really holding up, and it was just really great, impressive tennis on both ends. But he's not making any returns. Suddenly the tiebreak starts. Nakashima goes on this unreal run of suddenly making first serve returns. Zverev was serving it to the Nakashima backhand return way too often. I actually think that, and I know that's ridiculous to say when Zverev was so successful on his first serve, but Nakashima was barely making any forehand returns. He was making some backhand returns, and for some reason Zverev in this second set breaker, was kind of serving it to the backhand, in my opinion, too often. So Nakashima gets out to a 4-love lead, and Zverev eventually comes all the way back. Nakashima misses a second serve return at 4-6 that he'd want back. At 5-6, Nakashima has Zverev on the ropes, and Sasha hits an amazing squash defense, short in the court, forces Nakashima up to the net, and Zverev hits a 2-shot pass. But in the end, it was actually the 19-year-old who held his nerve. 7-8, Zverev gets an ace and a free point, earns his first set point. Nakashima, now down set point, first set point, and remember, he's lost a bunch of set points already, hits a beautiful backhand winner, steps into the court, hits it he hits it to Zverev's backhand side, breaks the sideline. It was an unbelievable angle from the middle of the court with Nakashima's backhand. And then from there, Zverev misses just long on a second serve return on the backhand. He'd want that back. Not the worst miss because he missed it going for the correct target deep down the middle. But then at the end of the second set, or at the end of the breaker, down, I believe, his 6th set point, Zverev hits a second serve 133 miles per hour into the net. Double faults the set away. And at this point, here is my thought. Nakashima is playing brilliantly to stick with Zverev because Zverev is serving well and playing pretty well from the baseline and making a lot of balls and doing a lot of good things. But again, it's if you can stay with Zverev, if you're good enough to stick with him and to keep it close, you might get an 133 mile per hour double fault on set point. And that's, in my opinion, the problem right now with Sasha Zverev. And that kind of remains the problem. Luckily for Zverev, he stepped it up another notch. And it was no longer as competitive in the next 2 sets after Nakashima took the second set. Zverev gets an early break in the 3rd set. Then again, love 40. Serves out of it. And then at deuce, Zverev's up 3-1 here. Hits an 137 mile per hour second serve ace. Works sometimes, right? Zverev serving for the set at 5-3. Again, finds himself in a love 30 hole. Hits an ace, 2 service winners, and Nakashima missed a second serve return. So you can see how Brandon just isn't getting enough returns in play. And Zverev, I want to talk about the Zverev forehand. Fourth set, not competitive. It's a blowout, and Zverev wins 6-1. Let's talk about the Zverev forehand for a second. It's I saw a video of him practicing shortly after his partnership with David Ferrer was announced. And by the way, Ferrer isn't in New York, but Zverev says that they're in constant communication, him and Ferrer. But saw a video of him practicing, and what was very clear is he was really flattening out the forehand in practice. And I kind of shrugged my shoulders. I said, okay, well, that's great, but let's see what it looks like in a match, because anyone can flatten the ball out and, be daring in practice, but then they might go out onto the match. And, Zverev is known to get very passive on his forehand side and not make opponents pay for dropping the ball short and extending rallies and just really just not taking charge on that side. In this match, Zverev got into a tremendous habit of really just going after the forehand and flattening it out ultimately. And it's a really big shot when he flattens it out. It's just so often too loopy. That's the one thing from the baseline. The other thing is he was taking his backhand down the line. And sometimes he's got this awesome, unbelievable backhand, and he's just going cross court every time. In fact, the first ever Monday match analysis was Zverev against Isner, Indian Wells final in 2018. And I remember I was just up in arms all throughout that match because Zverev didn't hit it down the line backhand. And Isner was just camped in his backhand corner, hitting inside out, inside in forehands. And Zverev just incredibly passive, just never going down the line with his unbelievable world-class backhand. In this match, he was building constantly with his backhand down the line. He was flattening out his forehand, and he was hitting massive first serves at 75% efficiency. You combine that with the kind of movement that Alexander Zverev has and his ability to defend on return games and counterpunch and put pressure on his opponent that way, and that's where you are reminded how good Alexander Zverev is. That is where you are reminded why he was winning Masters events at age 18. And that is how he made the Australian Open semifinal. Now, I got to say, again, his form really reminded me of Australia. It really did. I still don't think he can win the title this way. First of all, the way he hit his forehand in this match was not anything like the way he was hitting his forehand against Andy Murray. So which is it? What is it going to be? Is it going to be like it was against Nakashima from this point on every round? If that's the case, stock up. Or is it going to be on and off? And is he going to get negative and down on himself and suddenly he's, pulling off the forehand and shanking it and looping it and it'll look like it did against Andy Murray instead of what it did against Nakashima. He still can't hit a kick serve. And I just don't really think he can win a major title without a kick serve. Maybe he can, but at the moment, the way the field looks, I don't think he can. So, can he go deep? Yeah. Do I rescind my upset alert? Now he's in the third round, so this is easy for me to say. Yeah, he is playing quite well, and he isn't a player who looks very vulnerable right now. Okay, the third question, is he going to still serve 75% first serves? Because if he doesn't, and he can't protect his second serve. So if it's not going to be 75%, then what? That's what was so concerning after the second set in this match. Zverev lost a set serving 82% first serves. And then it's like, what's going to happen when it drops? What's going to happen when it dips? It just didn't dip that much. So is Zverev going to play like this every match? That's a big if. I'm not sure about that. And even if he does, he'll go very deep. But I still don't think it's good enough for a major title. Nonetheless, very impressive from Nakashima. He really held his own here. He's got a lot of potential, and I think both players should actually feel pretty good about themselves coming out of this match. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.